Welcome back. We're going to go over some Ayurvedic herbs. So I'm going to screen share. All right. So we went over the karmas in the last video, and we are going to start with reviewing some herbs. These are all in alphabetical order. Okay, so Amalaki. Amalaki has all the 5 tastes or all the 5 rasas except for lavana or salty. Its guna is lagu, ruksha, and shita, so light, dry, and cold. And its vipaka or post-digestive action on the body is madura, sweet. Its virya or potency is shita or cold. The doshas that it balances, that it is tridoshic, and it is a rasayana. I see it's yellow, it's rasayana, but balances mainly pitta. Therapeutic uses of pitta are for aruchi, anorexia, agni-mandya, digestive insufficiency, shosha, debility, kasa, shwasa, so coughing, asthma, prameha, diabetes, trishna, thirst, excessive thirst, daha, burning sensation, dwara, fever, hridroga, good for the heart, and netra roga, good for the eye diseases, and Yakut Roga, good for liver diseases. So the karmas or the actions that Amalaki has on the body, it has a deepen action, increases the digestive fire. Anolomania action has a downward action on the body, pushes the imbalance downwards. Rasayana, so it is rejuvenating. It's hridaya, it's good for the heart. It's good for breast milk, stanya. Vajikara, good for reproductive tissues. And kushtagna, good for skin diseases. Dwaragna, good for fever. And kakshushya, brimhana, strengthening, nourishing the body. Kasa hara, good for cough, and Shwasahara. Mutrala, good for the urine, and Trishna Nigradhara, good for excessive thirst, burning sensation in the body. And Sariva. Sariva is Anantamol. Okay, so Anantamol and Sariva, they're synonyms for each other. And the rasa or the taste is tikta and madura, so bitter and sweet. Its guna qualities are guru and snigdha, so heavy and unctuous. The vipaka post-digestive action is madura or sweet. The virya or the potency is shita, cold. The doshas that it helps balance are pitta and vata. It is good for the parisha, sweta, and mutra mala. So the dhatus that it helps nourish are the rasa, rakta, and meda. So the plasma, the blood, and the fat tissues. So when pitta goes up, rakta and rasa get dilated, and the skin starts to get irritated. So Anantamol or Sariva relieves this irritation from pitta due to the constriction from the shita quality, and the excess pitta goes to the kidneys and releases through the urine. So it really helps to, the cooling effect really helps to relieve the excess pitta. So it is good for the action here. So it is good for the urine. Okay, it's good for diabetes, burning hands and feet. If there's a skin rash, it's good to use this with mangishta. So really good for combining those two. I was taught it was really good to always try to use a combination of herbs to help balance the formula, not just use one herb. Um, and so Trishna Agna, it helps to balance excessive thirst from the summer heat. It helps with pimples, acne, rosacea, uterine, excess uterine bleeding. It works on the 3 pittas. Okay, it works on Purisha Baha bowels, Rasa in the Sweta Baha, and Mutra in the urine. And it balances pitta. It does not purge. It just moves it out through eliminating it through the Meda and the Shukra. I'm sorry, it helps with the Meda and the Shukra for weight gain. So it works on the first dhatu, the rasa, and the second dhatu, the rakta. It's considered tridoshic, and you can use it in a hot infusion by taking a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon and mixing it with some hot, or like a half a cup of hot water. You could also have it where it is in a pill, but most commonly I've seen it as a hot preparation or served in with hot water, or that's how I prescribe it. Arguada or armatas. It is great for skin. So again, we have Arguada and Anantamul or Sariva is good for skin. Both of these are good for skin. So it is a cooling, right? So this is something that's common, right? For both of these, and ones that are good for skin, we always want to cool off the pitta. And it pacifies pitta and kapha. And the rasa, or the taste, is madura and tikta, so sweet and bitter. The guna, or the qualities, are guru, signa, and murdu, so heavy, unctuous, and soft. The vipaka, or the post-digestive action on the body, is madura or sweet. It's very ashita, balancing pitta and kapha. It helps to support the mala of the purisha, so through the poop, right, feces. The dhatus that it supports is rasa, rakta, and mamso, so the plasma, the blood, and the muscle. In many conditions, it's good to use on a daily basis. It is a good mild, so I love this right here. So it's a good mild virechana, so it helps to purge. So good for psoriasis and eczema. So anyone who's got skin diseases, this is a really great herb to use. It is considered one of the safest purging herbs. It can clear up the bowels, help with hemorrhoids and fissures. And it can be used in virechana, used in large amounts, up to a tablespoon for purging. And depending on if it's a hard koshta, you would want to use 1 teaspoon for 1 to 3 days. Or you can go up to a tablespoon, and then you can do 1 time a day if it's not helping to clear. So generally, this is really good. So anyone who has like some type of bowel or slow digestion or constipation. So it is very, very mild. Even the flavor is really, really mild. So it's really good for people who need a little aid for helping with the bowels. So, so it is considered the end of disease. Okay, good for Kushtagna, good for skin. Good for Kanduagna, which is good for reducing itching. It's a Virechana, good for purging. Shota Agna, reducing swelling. Shwasa, good for cough. Amavisha, good for ama. And Arshogna, good for help. Arsha Ogna, helpful for hemorrhoids. Okay, so this is actually one of my favorite, most mild purging herbs that I do like to give when I'm doing some type of cleansing for the body for my clients, especially coming in with any kind of bowel obstruction or mild form of constipation. And we have Arjuna. Arjuna is a wonderful herb for helping with bone issues. That is amazing stuff. And for the heart, right? It's considered a bone setter or bone firming. So let's look at some of the qualities of Arjuna. So its rasa or taste is kashaya or astringent, works directly on the muscle or the skeletal muscle. So it is also tikta bitter. Its guna or qualities are lagu and ruksha, so light and dry. Its vipaka or post-digestive action on the body is katu or pungent. Its virya or potency is shita or cooling. Its prabhava or unexplained action on the body is hridaya, meaning it's good for the heart. The doshas that it balances is it is considered tridoshic, mainly balancing kapha and pitta. And the dhatus that it supports are rasa, rakta, asti, and shukra. So the plasma, the blood, the bone, and the reproductive tissue. So it is bone setting, bone firming. Whenever the bark is used, it is used. The bark is useful for the skin and the muscle. It could cause constipation. So it is always good to prevent that by using it with milk. If it does create excess dryness, I've seen it where it creates excess dryness on the skin. So you really want to encourage coconut oil in the diet, ghee in the diet when you are prescribing Arjuna. Okay, because I've seen it where, we're using it for bone. So a client of mine had broken bones in their hand, and I used Arjuna with Asti Sandhar, and I coupled it with Nirgundi and Rasna, and I believe there's a little bit of Haridra in there as well. And they had the most amazing healing experience. It was an elderly man, so he had to do major surgery for this injury, and his doctors were shocked at how well he was able to heal using some Ayurvedic herbs during that process. So, okay, so the dosage can be a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon a day. And then if you were to also, you can make it into a decoction, or you can do it as a kashira paka. So what that means is you're taking a teaspoon, you're boiling it in a cup of milk or almond milk for about 5 minutes, and then you could strain it and drink it. And then how I used it was in a capsule. They used it in a capsule. So I prepared the formula and then they put it into a capsule, and they were able to self-administer that way. So it is beneficial for the heart and it helps in healing the bone. Okay, so the next one is Ashoka, happiness. Ashoka is a wonderful herb for the female menstrual health, good for menopause and depression. So its qualities. So rasa, its taste is kashaya and tikta, so astringent and bitter, and madura and sweet. Its guna or the qualities are lagu and ruksha, so light and dry. Its virya or its potency is shita or cold. Its vipaka or post-digestive action on the body is katu or pungent. The useful part is the bark. And some wonderful formulations are going to be Ashoka Rishtam and Ashoka Gritham. What I've seen here in the United States is Ashoka Rishtam, and really helpful for women dealing with any kind of menstrual issues. I've used it with my clients going through, or being diagnosed with endometriosis. They've had some really good results with it. And I use it personally for a good, healthy menstrual cycle. And it is good for grahi absorption, for improving skin complexion, varnya. Doshahara, so a natural detoxifier cleanser. It helps with growth and tumors, Apachyahara. Okay. It is good for Trishnagna, so relieving excess thirst. Dahahara, relieving burning sensation. Pramigna, good for antiparasitic issues. Shoshahara, so good with relieving emaciation. Good with Vishahara, used for any kind of poisoning, toxic poisoning. Asparagite, useful in bleeding diseases. Good for the heart, Hridaya. And it's good for relieving excess tiredness. So good for relieving abdominal tumors or bloating, and relieving any abdominal colic pain. Useful in ascites, which is a fluid retention in the abdomen, and good for relieving bloating. Okay. Asti Sandahar. Asti Sandahar is again really good for bone issues. Okay, so it is, the rasa is tikta, madura, and kashaya. So bitter, sweet, and astringent. And its qualities are lagu and ruksha, so light and dry. Its virya or potency is ushna or heating. And the vipaka or post-digestive action is katu or pungent. The dhatu said it supports asti and meda, so it's really good for the bone and the fat. And the doshas that it balances is vata and kapha. So for Asti Sandhar, it has a lekana action, a scraping action for the excess kapha and ama, and good for Meda and Mala, so the fat and the waste waste products that it's producing. And it's good for Sandinhina, so healing fractured bones and tissues. It's considered a pachana, so it digests ama and metabolic toxins, Krimigna, eliminating the parasites, and Varusha, so it's a good aphrodisiac. So Asti Sandhar is a bone fusor, creating a new bone. It does make the throat itch, so that's where I mentioned before, this coupled with Arjuna, really great, but it's good to put it into a capsule. Okay, and then you can combine it with ashwagandha. It's good for weight loss, non-healing fractures, hair growth, kashaya, constricts and makes it firm. The kashaya or the astringent taste of Asti Thunderheart constricts and makes it firm. Okay, so mainly I have seen it in the churna or powder form in the United States. Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a rasayana, right? So we have it yellow here, and then it is heating, right? We don't even have to look any further. We already know the virya or the potency is ushna, heating. So the rasa is kashaya and tikta, so astringent and bitter. The qualities are lagu and snigdha, light and unctuous. And the vipaka, or post-digestive action on the body, is madura and katu, so sweet and pungent. And it helps promote strength in the body. It helps increase body weight. It's an aphrodisiac. And it helps with leukodermia, and swelling and emaciation, and it is considered an adaptogenic herb, so it knows exactly what to do in the body. So for everyone, it can be a little bit different. My only concern with using ashwagandha, it is in everything, or like almost everything in the United States. Everybody knows ashwagandha. So a lot of the times I'll get clients who are using ashwagandha, but they do have some kind of pitta disorder. And if that's the case, I wouldn't recommend ashwagandha as the first herb to use for them, because it can be actually aggravating the pitta because it is heating. So, and the other thing is that it could, because everyone thinks it's so good for everything, you just also have to be mindful. Sometimes people who are dealing with any kind of and this is just in general, anyone who is dealing with any kind of like substance abuse, ashwagandha arishtam, which is with an alcohol preparation, they'll think, oh, I could take this. And so if they have any kind of alcohol abuse, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it with an arishtam, because if they're trying to stop and they don't want to be exposed to alcohol, that is how they can be getting exposed to it. So I always like to educate my clients if you see that, because like I said, ashwagandha is everywhere in every form. You can get it here, and so people tend to overdo it with this particular herb and not knowing what they're doing with it. Okay, so we are going to continue onto this page, and then I will take a break, and then I will break this up into another part, okay? So the next herb we're going to go over is bakuchi, and this one is heating, right? So its Virya is Ushna or heating. Its rasa or taste is katu and tikta, so pungent and bitter. Its guna or qualities are lagu, light, ruksha, dry, and its vipaka or post-digestive action on the body is katu, pungent, and tikta, bitter. Okay, and it is balancing for kapha and vata. And the doctor said it balances is rakta, medu, and twak. So the blood, the fat, and the skin. Bakuchi is really good for vitiligo. This is where I've seen it, and, really prescribed. And it helps with a leukoderma, skin defects, alopecia, and it is really good for skin diseases. It's a nerve tonic, good for the liver, roundworms, cough and asthma, and relieving constipation. So the seed powder is used with honey for internal, external application, and then there's also the oil, and you can use it for 3 months. There are specific locations in India that deal with certain skin conditions, and so if this is something that's out of your realm, you could definitely recommend your clients to search for other resources. And then the next herb we're going to go over is baladwaya, known as bala. Okay, so bala is a wonderful herb, or rasayana. So it's yellow here to indicate the rasayana, and it's cooling, right? So the virya is shita. And it is sweet and astringent. And the gunas are sara and snigdha, so liquid, and snigdha, unctuous, and its doshas at a balance is vata and pitta, balancing. It supports the mamsa, asti, maja, and shukra, so the muscle, the bone marrow, and the reproductive tissue. And they use this in India for all vata diseases. Bala will be the first one they use, and it's good for low back pain, neurological issues. And bala with rasna and nirgundi, you can put a paste on the back with heat to help with back pain. So bala, rasna, and nirgundi is really great mixture. Kashira bala tailam. I love Kashira bala tailam. This is really helpful for the muscles, the fat, and the bone marrow. Bala ashwagandha, again, really amazing oil, and increases the ephedrine, sorry. And it helps with stroke and emaciation, and slow fracture healing, malnutrition, snow development, preventing miscarriage. Bala improves 3 muscles: the cardiac, the smooth, and the skeletal. All right. The next one is Bhumi Amalaki. Bhumi Amalaki, great for the liver. It's part of the 3 Bs. You should have learned 3 Bs. So Bhumi Amalaki, Bhunimba, and Bringaraj. These all 3 work together for the liver. Okay, it is cooling, or shita. And it helps with the rasa and the rakta, so the plasma and the blood, and the srotas are the anavaha, the parishavaha, the rasavaha, raktavaha, and artava. So the channel of digesting food for feces, the plasma, the blood, and the reproductive tissues as well. Female reproductive tissues. And then how are we using it? So Bhumi Amalaki here in the United States, mainly churna, right, as a powder, and good for the liver. Good, number one, I would say for liver diseases. I love whenever I see liver diseases, this is the first thing I'm going to recommend. Increases the agni, deepana. Okay, digest ama, pachana. So a good pain reducer for the uterus and the gallbladder. So Bhumi Amlaki, really good for any kind of pain. Good for jaundice, Kamala. Good for uterine bleeding, diabetes, anemia, skin diseases, gallbladder stones. Good for the pain from menstrual cramps. Okay, and I just wrote on here the 3 Bs, so you could remember. All right, Bunimba. So this is part of the 3 Bs, and we'll probably go straight to the Bringaraj so that we can, and we'll just go back to Brahmi. So we could just keep the 3 Bs together through. So Bunimba, good for healing fever, digest ama, and parasites. It is so bitter, and it tastes, and the taste stays in the mouth for a really long time. Okay, really, really, really good for bitter, for the liver, and the actions on the body. Okay, so it is Shita, so it is cold, right? So we know that it helps to balance Pitta, and the karma, action on the body, promotes healthy production of breast milk, right? So this is really helpful after childbirth. Right, really want to make sure that that breast milk is clean. I feel like for me personally, after I had my 2 children, the first thing that I noticed after the 2 kids was an attack on my gallbladder, right? Because the liver is just so overtaxed from that whole process of digesting, metabolic toxins for myself on a normal basis, but now I also have a child that is also producing toxins just as a normal function of, through digestion. And then after the child, like, it's just so much, there's so much on the female body. So then after that, we have to produce healthy breast milk, right? So how can we really clear up the breast milk? So Bunimba is really great. And then it's also good for reducing excess thirst, eliminating parasites, good for skin diseases. It is also Pachana, so digest ama. It's good for fever reducing, purifying the blood, and helpful for liver diseases. And mainly seen in the form of a churna, and you could see it in Gugla. It's also in there. The next one we're going to skip over Brahmi, we'll go right back. So Bringaraj, a Rasayana. Okay, so it can be used after detoxification, right? So Rasayana herb, really good to remember it as oh my hair, really helpful for supporting the hair. And it is Ushna, so it is heating. You see this is a yellow color, so it's heating. And some formulations that you can see it in, there is a Bringaraj, a Tylum as well that is available, I think, through Banyan. So there's, lots of sources for Bringaraj. They are trying to help us support our hair here, and it's good for the liver, good for deepen action, so increasing Agni, Pachana action, helping to digest Ama, good for Pramigna, so parasites, Rakta Shodana, good for the blood, and good for pain, and the good for the skin, fever, anemia, liver, eye diseases, pain again. Yep. All right, and now we're going to go through Brahmi. So Brahmi, again, Rasayana, wonderful herb for the mind, right here. Karma, good for the mind. So its Viria or potency is Shita, cooling. So really cool. A really amazing formulation is Shwara Shrishtam. This is like if you're studying for a major exam, or if you're going to have a really, really, really stressful event going on. So I would say make sure you have this at home. This is an amazing herb. Some people who struggle with tinnitus, ringing in the ear from all like, from an Ayurvedic perspective, we know that it's like all the muscles around the ear can really be tightening because of so much stress. Obviously, if the person isn't doing a whole bunch of other stress relieving activities, like possibly doing abhyanga with steam and really kind of, maybe shiradaras and getting like a lot of that stress relief. But if this can be added as part of their protocol. So Saraswaristam was a really beautiful formula to really calm the mind. Brahmi Thailam as well. Okay, so good for the mind, Rasayana, and psychological diseases, blood diseases. The prabhava or the unexplained action on the body is meda. So it is good for the mind, therapeutic uses. It's good for us, apasmara, so epilepsy, unmada, like insanity, issues with the mind, mano, vikar, so mind diseases, and shmriti, so memory. Okay. So we are going to stop here for a little break, and I will see you into the next one.